Hello everybody, Flash Notion back again, this time with the season finale reaction, and this is exciting, but it's also a bit nervous for me because I have a special guest with me today. My mom. Say hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
She's a dork a little bit.
Thank you.
And she doesn't really know what we're going to be watching. Speaking of which, I need to get the... I've got to actually use the speakers this time. That's different. Might have to turn it down at some point. In any case, you might have figured it out by some stuff around my room, but I've never actually told you.
He's dirty.
I am a brony.
What's that?
I am an... We'll go with adult, even though I'm not that old. Adult fan of the show My Little Pony.
Ah.
Yeah.
And your point.
Okay, there we go. So, yes, we're going to be watching the Season 7 finale of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic.
I like Lilo.
Those are not ponies.
So?
Fair enough. Cartoons never grow old. But there's...
Thank you for calling me old.
There's some stuff that you probably don't know about the cartoon, so I'm just going to pause the recording for a minute and give you a bit of a crash course, and then we'll get started, okay?
A few moments later.
So we're back, and Ma's getting given a crash course, and she's already wondering how long this is going to take.
Yep.
Well, hopefully you'll enjoy it anyways. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this for the recording of what stuff I already know. Suffice to say, though, that I do know some things. I've seen screenshots. I've been slightly spoiled on some stuff that's not too bad, I don't think. It's mostly just character related. So we'll just get right into it.
Shut up and let's watch the movie.
Yes.
Bye.
We'll start in 3, 2, 1, play.
The best elements within us can spread light and virtue.
Oh, starting in
And
a
I know
flashback,
ponies
apparently.
who represent them all. Strength, bravery, healing, beauty, hope, and sorcery. Myself and these pillars of Equestria were gathered together by another to maintain and share the light of these powerful ideals. But we soon came to believe the pony who brought us together only wanted that power for himself. Cast out and alone, this power-mad pony turned to darkness to satisfy his thirst. Transformed into a pony of shadows, he returned for revenge, to extinguish the pillar's light and rob the world of hope. To stop him, the pillars and I must make a grave sacrifice. But we shall leave behind a seed, in hopes that one day it will grow into a force to stand against the darkness for all time. We must now face the FiM,
Uniting
with the only plan we have.
all the
I
lore.
only hope it will be enough. That's
Wow.
the last entry. And maybe Star Swirl's final words before he vanished.
Huh.
My little pony, my
Yeah,
little
so
pony.
that's actually very reminiscent of the original premiere storybook opening and whatnot. They have not changed this since season 2, I think.
Ain't nothing like the original.
It was like 30 years ago.
Seriously, do you want to fall on your chair?
Huh?
I'm thinking more like 35 years ago?
35, 30, something like that. It was the 80s.
I've always wondered what happened to Star Swirl. This is quite a discovery, Sunburst.
So, it's genuine? You can verify that this journal really belonged to Star Swirl the Bearded?
Indeed.
Such a
From the looks
nerd.
of it, the last thing he wrote before facing the Pony of Shadows.
So, the Pony of Shadows was really real?
It appears so. We never met the other pillars, and we were too young to understand the danger they faced.
Hold on a second now. All those legendary ponies were real too, and they went off with Star Swirl to face the Pony of Shadows, and then none of them were ever heard from again?
Yeah, weren't you listening? What happened to them all? They must have defeated the villain, since Equestria is still full of light and hope.
But how?
True.
And where did they go? My old ponish is a bit rusty, but I wonder if the answers can be found somewhere within the pages of this book.
Well, I just happen to be an expert in Old Ponish. I mean, I've practically memorized every ancient text about Star Swirl there is.
Seriously,
Except-
all of them. We have fond memories of our old teacher. If you could discover what happened to him, we would be most grateful.
Solving a thousands-year-old mystery could take forever. Think of the research, the rereading, the re-rereading.
You might find you need help.
Bigger nerd.
Luckily, she's got a whole
Ponies
bushel
with
of helpers
glasses.
right here.
Some of them.
How long will this
That's a whole
research
new
take
meaning to
exactly?
Sunrise.
Let's get this back to my library. I'm sure we'll figure out what happened in no time.
In the space of the episodes.
They used to just sit around and comb each other's hair.
Nope. Now they go on
Figure it out
epic
yet,
adventures. And solve mysteries and...
What did you figure out?
You figured something out? What is it? Nothing. I mean, Star Swirl was a genius, obviously. But forget Old Ponish. There's parts where his horn writing is like another language. Oh.
Ow.
Twilight, we've been studying and referencing and cross-referencing for 3 days straight.
She done got a very bad
I haven't
southern
spent this much
accent.
time reading since
Yeah.
the last Daring Do book came out.
Perhaps it is time to take a break. This mystery is over 1,000 years old after all. Another day or two won't make a difference.
Bit
2 days?
too
I don't want
loud.
to waste 2 seconds.
Hmm.
I'm close to an answer. I can feel it.
Hirk Silphum Se Ponehenge. What's that?
The Temple of Ponehenge. You can read that?
The horn writing's pretty sloppy, but it's nowhere near as bad as mine.
Oh, Ponehenge.
Stonehenge.
Stonehenge!
Yeah. Stonehenge. But yeah.
At the base of Full
We've never seen that
Mountain.
before, so...
Usur Endemest Shield.
Our last stand.
I feel like I'm watching Harry Potter the Pony movie.
Well, that sure sounds like a
I think they've referenced Harry Potter something. Of course, he's gonna go to sleep. And... nice transition.
This is it. Ponehenge. I can't believe it.
I've never seen magical runes like these before. Have you?
They look vaguely
I
Norse, so
don't think anybody's
probably
seen any of this for
rock
a
hoofs
long time.
doing.
It'd take a whole team of ponies to clear away all this brush.
Even then, I'm not sure we'd find out what happened here over 1,000 years ago. You're right.
Maybe Star
I
can do a
suppose
spell?
it was a long shot.
Cheer up, Twilight. Finding a whole set of ancient ruins is pretty impressive. Or maybe you could write a paper on it.
I guess I hoped we'd get here and the mystery would just magically be explained.
Oh, there you go.
Twilight?
She's gonna blow!
That's definitely different. Whoa! Hologram.
Star Swirl, I've wanted to meet you my whole life. I can't believe you're here.
He's not.
I don't think he is here. I don't think any of them are.
But they could be if they could recover all the rest of the artifacts, maybe. Or it's just a vision.
To the Lost Raiders!
You
Or whatever
summoned
that
me
movie
into
was.
peril, Star Swirl.
And we found him!
Once I defeat all of you, this realm will embrace
Wow.
the darkness, as I did so long ago.
Whoa. Ew. That's different.
Drawing me here will only make me stronger, you defeat you. What are you doing? We came to contain you.
That is definitely different. Huh.
That's a new meaning to horse feathers.
That's actually a curse that, like, in the show, they regularly use that in place of a curse, as saying horse feathers.
What just happened?
You just got
It looked like Star
exposited.
Swirl cast a spell that banished the Pony of Shadows.
Of course. Powerful magic like that would leave an impression on this place. Bringing the book back here let us see what happened.
Which was what?
Star Swirl and the rest of the pillars sacrificed themselves to save Equestria. It's amazing
Sad.
to think one of the greatest mysteries of Equestria was solved with a musty old book from an antique shop.
But I wouldn't say the mystery's solved. Star Swirl's spell was one of the most powerful feats of magic in all of history. It'll take years of study before we fully understand it.
I think I understand Star Swirl's spell.
Knew that was gonna happen.
I know I finished one of Star Swirl's spells before, but this one was on a whole different
That's how she became a princess.
Was it an explosion of magical feedback? An evocation? A kind of incantation? It's Star Swirl, so the possibilities are endless.
And she
And once
just,
Starlight set me on the right track with his crazy horn riding. I mean, he was a genius, so I guess we can forgive a little messiness. I went through the journal again, and it's amazing! Twilight, darling.
Her ego is
We
just
understand you're
really fun.
excited. but that's
actually,
what
no,
we
her
understand.
ego's pretty small.
What
Her
exactly
ego,
is so amazing?
on the other hand.
Only how Star Swirl and the other pillars sent the Pony of Shadows to Limbo.
They did what now?
They used their magic to open a portal between worlds, to Limbo,
Cool.
and pulled the Pony of Shadows inside. Darling, your diorama! I made more. Star Swirl thought the only way to trap the Pony of Shadows in Limbo was for the pillars to take him there.
So they got stuck too.
The Pony of Shadows must have been really awful for them to do that. I suppose being trapped for all time with a super duper bad guy in Limbo might be okay if you were doing the Limbo, but that's still pushing it. The thing is, I think I can get them out.
There's a lot of eyes.
You can save the most legendary ponies of all time?
I don't know. Opening portals between worlds didn't work out well for me. Are you sure it's safe? First of all, you opened portals through time. And second of all, Star
Yes,
Swirl
she
wrote
did.
the spell you used to do it. If he'd been here, he could have stopped it. Equestria would be safer with him in it. We have
Oh,
to
no.
save him.
But you'd be saving all the pillars, right? And they disappeared ages ago.
That's the thing about Limbo. It isn't one place or another. It's in between. So time stands still. If we can pull them out, it'll be like they never
I
left.
think I see where this is
actually
going
built
right
another
now.
model to demonstrate.
What can
That's
we
how
do to help?
I feel.
If I'm right, we need to find items that are connected to the pillars.
She can
in
get a
some
little
way.
over-enthusiastic at
Stuff
times.
that belonged to them?
How would we know what to look for? Or where? Luckily, Star Swirl took a lot of notes.
Well,
But
Fluttershy
the
already
patriots
knows
are as
where
varied as
one
the realm
is.
itself, and hail from every corner of our land, bringing with them artifacts and talismans of great power. Twilight? What are you doing? I'm not doing anything.
The map is showing them.
Magnus's shield! Miss Maine's flower! Meadowbrook's mask! And the blindfold Somnambula wore when she faced that nasty Sphinx!
Huh.
I guess we don't need to figure out who should get what.
We've already been there.
Professor, it's a mighty helm headpiece! Maybe it belonged to Rowan
Hey,
himself!
we've seen, she's been a character
don't wear
before.
helmets. This belonged to a real pony.
Oh, I can guarantee Rock Hook was as real as you and me.
And I suppose that Ravine was dug with his trusty shovel to save the village from an erupting volcano.
Probably.
I love old legends as much as any pony, but a pony strong enough to save a village from rushing lava with a shovel is preposterous.
And yeah, she's pretty strong too. You were saying?
I can't believe you just did that. You saved us.
I bet if you told some pony else this story, it might sound preposterous.
So, is that Indiana Jones reference or Alan Grant from Jurassic
Some
Park
stories
reference?
might be true. And Rock Hoofs appears to be one of them.
I'm gonna speed this up a little bit because this is pretty slow moving right now. Feel free to chime in at any time.
I'm studying.
You keep those
Fair
words
enough.
to yourself, dearie. This place has been in my family for generations, and I'm not
What is
about
it,
to
girl?
let some
Girl?
whippersnapper take the last good
Yeah.
piece of it. Time-wise, ponies came from far and wide to see these gardens. But that flower's the only worthwhile thing left.
Fair enough.
Not a poor old bass. Take care of it all.
It seemed like your gardens were worthless, but a little pruning can work wonders.
Oh, wow.
Of course, you will have to look after more than just one flower now.
You've given me back my family's legacy. The flower you wanted seems like a fair trade for that.
Huh.
I can't believe
different.
Flash Magnus's shield ended up in the
Oh,
Dragonlands.
dear.
Good thing you brought the official
Bark.
equestrian friendship
Bark.
ambassador to the dragons to help you navigate our
Later,
customs.
dudes.
Like our favorite
enough.
sport, guard surfing.
Oh, I wonder if we're gonna see... Oh, we are gonna see other dragons. We don't see them very often.
Okay, that was awesome!
And they're gonna...
Dragon Lord Ember commanded us to make peace with ponies, but it doesn't mean you can
That's a
surf
weird
in
design.
our spot.
Whoa, fellas! As the official equestrian friendship ambassador to the dragons, I have to say that's
Needs
not
a shorter
very
title.
friendly.
Really needs a
Well,
shorter
what do you know?
title. Oh,
The
no.
puny pony dragon sticking up
Of
for his
course
pony
he's the one who
pal.
has it. This is Garble.
Hey, that's
He's
an
the
ancient pony artifact.
worst dragon.
Close off my gorge board. I found it in the desert, and finders keepers.
It isn't yours.
Huh, it sure looks like mine, but I might consider racing you for it.
No problem.
No. I mean, you.
Weed.
Yeah. He's beaten Garble in contests before, but not this.
On your marks, get set,
Ow.
Ah,
I won! Woohoo! Give up the
the little
shield,
purple
Garble.
grape one.
Lord Ember only commanded us to be nice to ponies. She never said anything
He's
about
a little bully.
loving
He is.
He needs to be kicked in the...
He does. He's actually been several times.
Since Dragon Lord Ember commanded you to make peace with ponies, you can't very well attack one of their friends, can you?
Yes,
I guess
he
we'll
can.
find out. Why is he
Typical.
always hiding behind ponies?
I wasn't hiding when I beat you down the ridge.
You fell.
Wow, you must be slow if all Spike had to do to win was fall down.
I'm faster than
Fair
you.
point.
Doubt it.
Fine.
He's supposed to have buck
I'll race you
teeth.
back to the
Who?
top. If you win,
Him?
you can have
Yeah.
your pony junk.
Probably.
But if I win, you'll leave, and I get to give it to him.
She's fast enough to
I'm
break the
pretty
sound
sure I
barrier.
can beat you anyway, but with that heavy hunk of metal on your back, it'll be a snap.
Huh? Oh, yeah. Thanks for the tip. See you at the top, loser!
Wow.
He is that dumb.
Like I said, buck teeth and all.
Hey! That's mine!
We could have just gone to
relax,
see.
it's the blonde hair.
Remember?
Yeah,
See? Because
I mean,
that's
his-
what you said to them.
his
when
fin's
you
orange.
showed up.
Just about
They
these.
could have just gone and seen Ember, and that would have worked out too.
Just remember not to turn away from them, Cattail. Flash bees can get pretty aggressive. Guess that's why none of the other bayou animals can get to the water.
Aw.
Wouldn't it make more sense for you to wear the mask that calms the bees?
It would. If I didn't have to fly up here to move their hive.
Ah. I don't think that would actually
None
work.
of the other bayou
at all,
creatures can get to the
but-
water without the bees feeling threatened.
You know, you didn't have to help with this. I would have lent you the mask anyway.
I know, but I couldn't leave without helping.
I don't think any pony can find anything in there.
I wouldn't give up hope just yet.
This old blindfold was stuck in the drain.
Weren't you looking for a blindfold?
Oh, yeah.
Ew.
I can't believe I'm gonna meet Star Swirl the Bearded. You know, outside of my dreams. I can't believe you're actually going through with it. What do you mean? I'm all for pushing the envelope, obviously, but this is pretty out there for you, Twilight.
And it could be dangerous. They could,
What's
you know,
out
bring
there
back the
about
evil
saving
person.
the most legendary ponies of all time from a thousands-year-old prison?
Well, nothing when you say it like that. Unless the most legendary ponies of all time knew what they were doing, and we shouldn't mess with it.
I'm sure
Fair
Star Swirl and the
point.
Killers did the best they could back then. But magic has come a long way, mostly because of the work they did.
That's true, and you did get your wings from finishing one of Star Swirl's spells. Exactly. But then I messed with one and nearly destroyed the universe, so... Starlight, Star Swirl the Bearded is the greatest wizard who ever lived. The chance to have him back in
Was.
Equestria is worth the risk.
That's good news.
Otherwise, we'd have brought this shield for nothing.
I hope you don't think you're the only one to find her artifact. Because this here shovel says otherwise.
Honestly,
They're all a little
everything
cocky
is a
at this point.
competition. But this man's flower is by far the most attractive of the artifacts. You're just saying that because you didn't have to scuba dive in a pit of green slime to get yours. Or move a flash.
You can tell they're females.
Really, Ma?
Let's
Yep.
do this.
Really?
Yep.
That is not funny.
Well, look at them, they're headbutting already.
This is not going to go well. At all.
What? What has happened?
It worked. We brought you back.
To where?
You and the others have been trapped in limbo for over 1,000 years, but I figured out how to get you out.
What? No. You must undo what you've
I
done.
knew it.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I don't think I can.
You cannot bring us back.
But I did. I brought all the pillars back.
You cannot bring only the pillars back.
Yep, there comes the bad guy. Of course.
They exiled him.
Ugh. Wow.
The phoenix has risen.
That is most definitely not a phoenix. We've seen phoenixes.
To be continued.
It's a two-part finale. So yeah, that was actually a bit different. Like, number one, that's probably more characters than we've ever seen in the show before. Number two, the imagery as it was coming back is like they've shown some creepy stuff, but that was actually a little bit more creepy than I'm used to. I think I might be able to skip the recap on the next one.
Huh?
They always do a little.
How much more do we got to go?
They always do the stupid
I'm gonna have to
recap.
fart. It's gonna be on there.
Really?
Oh, the legendary ponies
I don't
were
think
real
I-
too. And then
Whatever.
Whoops.
Whatever.
Sorry.
come again.
I'm sure they won't mind.
To open a portal to
Uh.
limbo.
Just remember, squeaker
We need to
smell.
find items
Oh,
that are connected to
gross.
the pillars in some way.
My mother, everybody.
You cannot bring only the pillars back.
I think it could have moved a little bit faster in the last episode, but it might be worth it.
Gee, wine and pretzels would have been nice too. Now see, that's the original song, sorta.
Until they get to that part, where it kicks in the guitar and the drums and everything.
They ruined it.
No, they updated it for wider audience.
How many adults watch that?
I do believe the Brony Convention is second only to the actual Comic-Con in terms of attendance. I might be wrong, but it's...
That ain't the original logo either.
Well, no. Actually, they recently changed the logo for this season, so... But I think that's because of the movie that came out. Which I still haven't seen.
Your attempt to imprison me has failed, Starswirl.
And he's weak after 1,000 years.
To Limbo. It's the only way to stop him.
I only figured out how to bring you back.
Working on it. No table of contents.
Allow me to assist.
Get out the internet!
Oh dear. And he's gonna destroy the... Yeah. And... Oh, he destroyed the book? Oh, she's gonna be mad.
Without the power of Bonehenge, your banishing spell is useless. You have studied my writings. Surely you have some other plan.
No, I just wanted to save you. I didn't think...
Don't fret. When I extinguish the light and hope of this miserable world, you won't remember any of this. This one is almost as strong as you, Starswirl. But even in my weakened state, she cannot stop the might of shadows.
Lucky for her, she's not alone.
Yep.
Know this, fiend.
Probably.
We will not rest until we find a way to return you to Limbo.
It's usually said that their horns are very sensitive. I mean,
now my dark power will reign, and you six
they have to control the magic somehow, so there's probably nerves in there.
Where'd he go?
That is a riddle we must unravel, and
Oh,
quickly.
we haven't heard her voice
How long
before.
have we been gone?
Over 1,000 years.
Then my spell worked, before it was meddled with, and the realm has been at peace for a millennia.
Usually.
We did have to save everybody from Nightmare Moon and Discord and Chrysalis and King Sombra and Lord T-Rex, and there was that one time when Starlight traveled through time and all of a sudden
She's supposed to be the
That's
diva.
all in the past.
She is supposed to be the
Truly this
She
accomplished.
reminds me of
Funny
the
one.
girl I work
Pony of
with.
shadows twice as fast together.
We shall see. It is an easy thing to say you have saved the world. It is quite another to do it.
Oh, we've saved the world, Beardo. And we can do it again.
Be that as it may, the problem of locating the Pony of Shadows remains, and this land is vast.
It sounds like you need a map. Luckily, we have just the thing.
Yep.
Something about this magic seems familiar.
Whoa.
Did you know he can do that?
Nope.
He's Starswirl. He can do anything.
This
Not
map,
anything.
indeed, this very castle, are grown from the seed we planted over 1,000 years ago. Then it did work.
What worked? Each of us infused a crystal seed with our magic in hopes that it would grow into a force for good.
We wanted to leave something to protect the realm in our absence, but we never dreamed our gift would become so powerful.
Y'all mean the elements came from you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the sparkly crystal things that grow from the tree of harmony and represent each of us. Laughter, honesty, generosity,
That's where the face come from.
and magic.
They are reflections of our own elements of hope, strength, beauty, bravery, healing, and sorcery.
We had no idea our small seed would
He's
bloom into the living spirit
a
of the
little bit of
land.
jerk.
I am glad our mantles have passed to such capable ponies.
More importantly, we no longer need Ponehenge to send our foe back to Limbo. We can use the stored magic in this tree of harmony.
But doesn't a banishing spell take a lot of power? we'd have to sacrifice the elements for that.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be gone forever? Star Swirl, I don't think the tree can survive without the elements. If it dies, Equestria will suffer.
If the Pony of Shadows has his way, your land will not exist. So, unless you have a better idea...
Oh.
Our foe will seek dark places from which to draw power. I will prepare my spell so that we may strike as soon as you find it.
What are we waiting for?
I like your spirit.
Of course he does.
Oh, go cry in your hair.
What about this one?
In the library, actually.
Sea pony etiquette isn't going to help right now, Spike.
Might have helped during the movie.
Twilight?
From what I understand.
Are you okay? I just unleashed ultimate evil and doomed Equestria because I was obsessed with meeting my idol. Why wouldn't I be okay? You didn't know that was going to happen. But I should have listened to you and
I
left
could have
things
guessed.
alone. Now the elements of harmony will be lost to fix my mistake. Maybe there's another way.
If there is, Twilight will find it.
Portal gate, portal keys, portal spells. Yes! If the pillars can hold open the gateway to Limbo, a powerful pony can do the banishing spell herself. Do you know what this means?
No.
We can stop carrying books.
The pillars don't have to leave Equestria. Even though we'll lose the elements, we'll have the ponies that created them, and the Pony of Shadows will be banished for good.
That's great. But I was thinking of another way that maybe doesn't involve banishing at all.
Star Swirl knew what he was doing when he cast that spell. If I can make it even better, maybe he'll see that I take magic as seriously as he does.
They don't usually go for the whole banishment thing. Wow.
Seems the dark places Star Swirl indicated on the map have changed.
I bet the Pony of Shadows would have loved the ghastly caverns before 1,000 years of erosion turned it into the ghastly gorge.
The Appaloosian wastes sure sounded dark and desolate.
Who knew they would become such a popular square dancing destination?
And I get how this part of Equestria used to be cast an eternal night where the Pony of Shadows could draw power and wreak havoc while ponies were powerless to stop him. But I'm gonna come back. Did my chance really bright?
Huh. One left.
It seems there are fewer dark corners in the realm these days.
Isn't that a good thing?
True. The Pony of Shadows will have a hard time regaining power. When he rears his head, we'll be ready.
Isn't there some way to banish him without losing all of you?
Oh, I wish there were. But to save our home, we are willing to leave it.
I don't think you'll have to. My spell isn't finished yet, but I think we can send the Pony of Shadows to Limbo without all of you having to go as well.
While I appreciate your enthusiasm, Twilight, this is hardly the time to take risks on half-baked spells.
Begging your pardon, Mr. the Bearded, but Twilight doesn't do anything halfway.
Especially not magic.
Seriously, she got her wings by finishing one of your spells.
I think you'll find her work is worth reading before you dismiss it out of hoof.
While it is an unconventional approach, I believe it could work.
Fair enough.
I suppose there is a chance.
But we still have no idea where to find the villain.
And that ought to tell you.
Surprise! Honey, I'm home.
Maybe we should try there?
That hasn't happened in a while.
The Hollow Shades. I think a branch of the Apple family lives there.
I've heard that mentioned before, but
Hollow Shades was abandoned
never in the show.
ago.
That's odd. The only time the maps called all of us to one place was Starlight's village.
So it's like a supervillain tracker. No offense.
Do you think the map could be trying to tell us where the Pony of Shadows is?
The Tree of Harmony acting to protect the light of the realm. Yes, a good thought, Twilight. Make my notes on this spell.
That face.
Ready yourselves for battle.
That
I
might be my
I'm
thumbnail.
not as experienced as all of you, but is banishment really the only option? I mean, it's been a long time. Maybe the Pony of Shadows is ready to talk?
I doubt we can save our homeland with a conversation.
But we could try.
Starlight, I'm sure Star Swirl and the others did try.
The Pony of Shadows was not interested in reconciliation. Once a villain, always a villain. Twilight, Sunburst,
things have changed a lot in 1,000 years, apparently.
Find the spell for our use.
Is nobody going to tell the princesses that they're back? Apparently not.
I know Star Swirl is a great wizard.
Maybe she will.
This whole plan seems wrong. The maps only ever sent us to solve friendship problems.
Maybe so, but the Pony of Shadows doesn't really seem like the friendship type.
Honestly, we don't know anything about him.
Well, no pony does.
That's not entirely true.
Yes, she is. She is going to tell them. Ask them. Whatever.
You all knew the Pony of Shadows before he became what he is now. You must have been friends, so what happened?
The tale of our rift is a sad one.
Oh. Sirens. That's... Never seen that before. Of course. Huh.
Stygian was a pony like the rest of us, though more scholar than hero. He recognized our emerging world would need champions to defend it.
Whoa. This could almost have been a series finale at this point. But there's at least one more season confirmed. Whoa.
Black hole.
No, that's a portal to the spin-off series.
Was just an ordinary unicorn who soon grew jealous of our abilities.
He stole objects from each of us. Artifacts to use in a spell.
And we cast him out for it.
Why didn't you just beat his rear?
Return and seek forgiveness.
Horsewhipping.
But when we saw him again, his heart was bent on revenge.
Ooh.
He dashed even my hope of saving him.
But why did he steal the artifacts from you? No doubt it was an enchantment to take our powers for himself.
Sounds to me like he wasn't the one who was jealous.
That looks like a lot of work.
It is what must be done, and it would be best if we were not disturbed.
I'm sorry,
Wow.
Starlight.
He's kind of a
The
jerk.
stakes are too high and we have to banish Stygian to Limbo. I get it.
Who? Stygian was the name the Pony of Shadows gave up when he turned to darkness.
And I'm just trying to figure out why.
Envy. He wanted more power than he had, and that desire led him down a path from which there is no return.
I know from experience that's not always true. When the map called you six to my village, it was for a friendship problem. Are you sure this is different?
Stygian wants to destroy all that is good in this world. There's no way to befriend a pony like that.
I guess I'm lucky your idol wasn't around when you decided to be my friend. I might have been banished to Limbo too.
Ouch. Seriously, nobody can get Celestia and Luna.
I am glad we have the chance to see.
Sounds like a bunch of people jump. Oh, excuse me, a bunch of ponies jump to a conclusion.
Seems a shame to harm it.
Unnecessary sacrifice. With the element's power, we will bind the Pony of Shadows in Limbo. And thanks to Twilight, we will remain to watch over the realm ourselves.
You're gonna see some negative effects of this, right? Oh. Those are back. Huh.
How do we use them?
Oh, I'm not sure. They simply work for us.
The elements are attuned to you. We must use their magic in pairs.
No problem. We're used to banishing evil before breakfast.
And it'll be an
Of
honor
course.
to save Equestria with y'all.
I really hope Twilight knows what she's doing.
Did they hack it?
I don't remember reading anything that said the Hollow Shades was like this.
I'm guessing it
The Pony
wasn't.
of Shadows must have twisted it to his purposes.
Prepare yourselves. He is here. Stygian, show yourself and face us!
Boom!
From the well? From the well. Or underground.
See you, dudes.
Whoa.
He's made himself a palace.
That's
I definitely would
different.
have remembered reading about this.
The dome!
Welcome to the well of shame.
That is true. It does look like the dome
the
under the
dome.
dome.
I discovered this place. The darkness spoke to me of a power beyond any I could imagine, and I listened. The shadow and I became one.
The shadow.
All of the realm will be the same. Then all ponies will feel the despair I did when you cast me out.
We did what we had to do. You tried to steal our powers for yourself.
No, it was you who was selfish. Now, you will pay!
Ouch.
You're still sure this isn't a friendship problem?
Ready? Open the portal. Now!
Oh, yeah, they're making a mistake.
Yeah.
You will not trap me again! Twilight, push him in!
Huh? There's a pony in there.
Ha!
That's gonna be different.
Now she's in there.
Are
Yeah.
you Stygian?
I was, once, until my friends betrayed me.
But Star Swirl says you betrayed them. You wanted their magic.
No, I wanted their respect. I brought them together. I planned strategy and I read all I could about the beasts we faced. But I didn't have magic or strength, so no pony ever noticed me. I went to Ponehenge to make my own copies of the artifacts. With them I thought I could be a pillar too, and stand by their side in battle.
Oh.
I never wanted to steal their power. But instead of sharing and letting me help, my friends threw me out. So I became stronger than any of them. The darkness welcomed me when no pony would. And I will do what I must to protect it.
This is all a misunderstanding. If the pillars knew how you felt, I'm sure they wouldn't have turned
Did
their
they
backs on you.
ask?
The shadow
Nope.
isn't who you
That's
really
kind of
are.
the point that the
Today's
episode.
society.
Trying
Point the
to-
finger first.
Did still
Okay, let's try not to get political, but
I'm not political.
Because it's
Honest.
what she does. I wasn't so different from you, and Twilight helped me change. If there's one pony in Equestria that can save a friendship, it's her.
I want to believe you. But the darkness will not be stopped.
Fight the darkness, Stygian. You don't need it anymore. Revenge isn't what you want. Friendship is.
Give birth, give birth.
looks like a belly button.
Oh no, it's Breach.
The shadow won't let go of him. He wants to stop, but he can't do it alone.
Then we must help him.
It's a boy!
Wow, Ma. That was definitely different. Not what I was
Look all the goo and
expecting.
ooh.
Yeah! Oh, it felt so good to do that again. Friendship power rush. Woo! The elements, they didn't disappear. Maybe because we used them for healing magic instead of banishing?
She sounds like the girl up Big Bang.
Long ago, you needed
Which
our
one?
help, Stygian. But instead of
Wonder
listening,
Speaks.
we turned our backs.
Tia sounds nothing like Bernadette.
Clouded my judgment. I owe you an apology. Thank you for
Little
helping us
late,
see the
don't you
errors
think?
of our ways, Twilight. It seems I never
About 1,000 years too late. Well, not technically not too late, but
You swirl star. Star swirl.
and
They're all-
mission complete.
So, apparently a conversation can save Equestria?
Something tells me I will be making a lot of apologies today.
Yeah? Yeah, you should.
I simply cannot believe how tall you've gotten.
Well, it has been over 1,000 years. Will you stay here and teach magic once again? My sister and I have such fond memories of your lessons.
As long as you don't ask for those essays we owed you before you disappeared.
I'm not certain Canterlot is where I belong. The realm has grown, and I believe I'll have a look around before I settle in any one place.
And I long to see what has become of my home.
I believe we all do.
Then I hope you will return to Canterlot on occasion and share the wisdom of your great experience with the next generation of ponies.
We would be honored, but if it is wisdom you seek, look no further than your own pupil. She showed me that the power of friendship is a magical force indeed. And that in turning away from others, you hurt yourself as well.
Aw, Groupog!
I thought meeting my idol would give me all the answers I ever wanted, but instead, I forgot what I
Never really works out, does it?
Good thing I had a student of my own to remind me.
Huh. Well, that was an ending.
They could have done all that without the magic.
They could have, but it's the way of making this story a little bit more exciting.
No, what'll make it real exciting is people take it all into, heart.
Well,
and abide by it.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, ask questions first.
Yes, that's the point of watching it. That's... As exciting as the magic and stuff is, the fandom, most of it, there are elements that are unpleasant, but for the most part, we come back to the show more often than not for the lessons and for trying to understand more.
So, moral of the story is, don't point the finger, ask questions, sit down and talk about it.
Yeah.
Be kind to others. Pay it forward. How much more do you want me to go?
Well, usually I sit around and talk for quite a while on these.
Send me all your money, and I'll make your life just as happy as can be. Because I'll spend it, and you won't have to.
If you really want to talk about the people producing the show, Hasbro, then yeah, their whole thing is send us money so we can keep making the show and all that. So there's that. But
send your money to the food bank. Send your money to the people that do good works.
Yeah,
Catholic
or
charities.
Take from this and be the people who do the good works.
Sure. Next. Are we done?
You can go if you want. I mean...
Okay, I'm cold and I gotta go. Have a nice night, everybody. Bye!
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
So, YouTube, that was a bit different. I feel like I was a bit quieter while watching this than I usually am. That's slightly unfortunate, but it happens. Yeah, this was different. I'm not entirely sure what to expect going forward. This really just tied a whole bunch of lore together all at once. Starting with, all of the legends that we've had, they made the Tree of Harmony. And so that's it. That's the origin of the Tree of Harmony. It came from them. It made the elements. The elements were taken out and used to defeat Discord, which is what they were originally intended for, more or less. And then after that, the elements just kind of sat around for a while until new owners were claimed, and then they were used to defend the realm for a few more years, and then put back in the tree, and now they've been taken out again to defeat the Pony of Shadows. I do think there's an element here of, the legends came together. They were the original super team, so they've probably had all kinds of adventures, faced all kinds of enemies that no one in the modern world has ever even heard of. You got to figure that Tartarus and all that, you got to figure that they're filled with monsters and demons and things that nobody really wants to acknowledge even exist. It's also interesting, though, because that means that Star Swirl disappeared when Celestia and Luna really actually were young, like the age of Twilight and the others at most, I guess. Probably younger. So he never really got the chance to see what they became. It also helps to provide a bit more of a timeline as to all the other things that they faced. Like, obviously we know that the last thing that the elements of harmony were used for was banishing Nightmare Moon. I wonder if that actually weakened them for 1,000 years. Like, maybe that's why Celestia didn't use them, is because Nightmare Moon and all that, using it for banishment magic like that, weakened them. That would be interesting. I wonder if that's an aspect that's been explored in fan fictions yet. But no, what I was saying is that obviously Nightmare Moon was the most recent one. Before that, I'm guessing that the most recent one was Sombra rather than Discord. And before Sombra was Discord, and then before Discord, there would have been what? I mean, I think the illustrations might have came later than in the Season 4 finale, because it showed adult Celestia and Luna with Star Swirl taking on Tyrek and Scorpan. So, slightly inaccurate there. It's just very interesting. So, Tyrek would have been the first threat that Celestia and Luna faced. I wonder if that was like a test for them. Like if Star Swirl was like, okay girls, you're going to come out with me and you're going to help me and the Legends fight a giant centaur demon thing. And they were just like, okay. That would have been very interesting indeed. But speaking of monsters that were fought, we saw the Sirens. We actually got to see them, not just in the book illustration, not just as like light projections of what they used to be. We actually got to see them and what they were doing, and yeah, horrible. I wonder how when Star Swirl learned to keep the portal open, or at least to contain it so that it would open regularly. That would be an interesting thing to explore. But yeah, so it's also worth wondering, how did each of the various artifacts get way out where they did? Because obviously they would have just lain in Ponehenge for quite a while before being taken back. So you gotta wonder, like, do they have family out there somewhere? Mistmane might. Like, that pony said that the place had been in her family for generations, so she might be related to Mistmane somehow. And obviously Mage Meadowbrook has Cattail. That's going to be awkward. But I don't know. It's just all very interesting indeed, and really makes you wonder, like, what's the dynamic going to be going forward into Season 8? We've kind of come full circle now with everything. We had another storybook opening like we did way back in the premiere. We got the final closure on where the elements came from and how they're meant to be used. One note on that, should they be put back in the tree again, or should they be left out? I kind of feel like not having rainbow power and just using the elements, I kind of feel like that's a little bit cheaty, because, like, introduce this one-off power and then just never used again. I kind of would have liked to have seen them evolve into their rainbow forms in this one. In fact, I thought they were going to. I thought that's what the screenshot was them in their rainbow forms shooting while all the Legends were on the ground. But yeah, shows how you gotta choose your thumbnail for YouTube very carefully, so that way people can actually see what's going on. I know some of mine have been a little not quite as clear as I would have liked them to be. But this time I think I know which one I'm going for. I'm definitely going for the starstruck expression that Twilight had right there. That was just too freaking hilarious. Oh, wow. So yeah, Legends. I like Somnambula a lot more now that I've gotten to actually hear her voice. Her voice and the accent that they gave her was very pleasant, actually, to hear. So I very much look forward to that. There's also... We didn't hear much from Rockhoof, but he very much seems like the whole strong and silent type, I guess. All the legends were interesting. Mage Metalwork is adorable. Mistmane, interesting enough. I feel like she was a little bit underutilized, in a way. And then there was also Flash Magnus, who... Yeah, very much Rainbow Dash as a stallion. Why not? Now there are two of them. Heaven help them. Oh, but... Yeah, so the biggest thing, obviously, is that Star Swirl is a jerk. Now, they say never meet your heroes, and that's obviously very, very true in this case. As it is in most cases in fiction, and from what I hear in real life as well. I don't think I'd be too disappointed to meet any of the voice actors for the show or anything like that. Maybe the writers, I might be a little bit disappointed in them. I mean, I'm disappointed in them sometimes for what they've actually written, but, like, I don't actually really know anything about the voice actors or the writers or anybody like that. I don't know about them. I haven't looked stuff up about them. I kind of prefer to leave it as a mystery, to just view the characters as themselves, and the voice actors and all the writers and everything, that's something separate. They're somehow responsible for the show, for giving it to us, but they're not, like, directly connected to the characters. So, like, and then I have to, of course, try to justify the characters' actions in-universe, and therefore leave the writers a little bit blameless for that. I can't just say, oh, well, the writers wrote them out of character. No, I have to actually go and justify it. My brain works weird sometimes. But in this case, back to Star Swirl, I'm going to have to check his voice actor, though, because obviously the voice actor for Star Swirl the Bearded, that's a big deal, you know? Like, he's been such a huge bit of the show. I mean, it was unintended, of course. It was originally just intended to be a gag of Star Swirl was some pony that Twilight could dress up as for the pony Halloween. But then they brought it back with the season 3 finale, and since then he's just been brought up more and more until finally now we actually have him in the show. And I kind of feel like Celestia and Luna should have been in this one a little bit more. Like, as soon as the legends were brought back, they should have had a conference where it was like, hey, Celestia, Luna, we brought them back. And they would have been like, oh my god, Star Swirl, it's so wonderful to see you. And he could have been like, yes, well, I never really wanted to see you again because I was supposed to stay trapped in limbo forever. That, you know. It also brings up the question of, like, why did he banish the sirens to the human world, but only limbo for the Pony of Shadows? It's really a good question, and it also brings up the question of how many other worlds has Star Swirl banished things to? Like, did he open a portal to a different world each time he banished something? I don't know. And you also have to wonder, like, when he banished the sirens to the human world, did he make the mirror specifically so that he could go over there and check on them, maybe? Like, that would be an interesting idea. Like, what if he made the mirror so that he could go over there and make sure that they weren't causing trouble? That would actually paint him in a little bit better of a light, because as it is, him just sending them over there kind of reads it as like, oh, well, there's somebody else's problem now. I also definitely, of course, approve of this version of the myth there, or the story, over how it was presented in the comics, where Star Swirl, like, invented every type of music ever trying to defeat the sirens in a fight, and then he just gave up and sent them away, like, oh, somebody else will do it better than I could have. No, here it's, he actually just straight up banished them. So, yeah, there was a lot in this episode that happened. As I said earlier, as I told my mom earlier, what we saw there with Stygian and the Pony of Shadows and the way it was oozing, pretty much, that's a visual unlike really anything the show has done before. I'm not sure if it's creepier than Chrysalis rotating her head 360 degrees. That was just wrong, but it really was creepy. And the way that it was just grasping at Stygian, gross. Obviously, the legend of the Pony of Shadows was distorted over time, even more than most of the legends by this show's standards. So that kind of sucks when you think about it. Now, that being said, do I feel like this finale was overhyped a bit? Like, that's a question that I have to ask, because this finale was hyped for me. Like, we got the Legends and Star Swirl, and we've got the Pony of Shadows, this awesome black alicorn thing, and we've got the Elements of Harmony coming back. There we go. Lost it for a moment. And like I read that this finale is part of what makes season 7 the second greatest season of the show, by some people's opinions. Like that was literally a thing that came up on FiM Fiction blogs. I shouldn't have read that, I don't think, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it was for the better. Whatever. But the point is that this finale had a lot of excitement behind it. I was very excited to watch it, and while it was interesting and it had a lot going on, I'm not yet 100% sure it lived up to the hype, so to speak. And I'm trying to figure out if there was anything like really wrong with the narrative other than the obvious of, why didn't you go see Celestia Moon right away? And of course the lack of rainbow power. And, like, them bringing up, like, hey, we can use the power of the elements even though they're in the tree. Like, seriously, that should have been something that was brought up. But those are really minor things, so I'm trying to figure out if there was... I mean, it might be, like, a testament to how overpowered our heroes have become, that they didn't really struggle at any point during this. Like, when the Pony of Shadows first showed up, Twilight was struggling, and then Starlight came and helped her. But overall, I mean, it was just like, whenever something needed to happen, it happened. And that's kind of underwhelming, I think. There's, like, most if we're going to look at other season finales, the reason why I like season 6 finale so much is because there was a real struggle there. There was a struggle with Starlight and her accepting her leadership role, and then there was a struggle with, in the more physical sense, of the changelings have already taken all of the more capable characters, so you have to bring in all of these secondary characters who aren't as capable and who keep getting picked off one by one until it looks like there's really no way out. The rising stakes actually, that's something that I feel is a big, what am I trying to say here? It works better for a narrative that way. In this finale, things just kind of rolled right along. There was a lot of exposition in the first half. Like, seriously, a lot. We had to learn all the stuff about Stygian and how the pillars came together and how the Pony of Shadows came to be. Just so much exposition there. And then, even after we got the exposition, they just kind of went there, and then, accidentally, we discover a reenactment of what actually happened, so we know what happened, and then after that, Starlight, or Twilight's just all of a sudden like, oh, hey, I can undo the spell, and it's just, wasn't really a whole lot of struggle apparent with that. And then they went there, or they went out and got all of the various items, and there wasn't really a struggle there either. It was just go there, get the item, go there, get the item. And then they came back, and excuse me, burp. Then they went back to Ponehenge, and Twilight did the spell, and bam, they're back. Just like seconds. There wasn't any difficulty, wasn't any necessary for Starlight to help out or anything like that. And then Pony of Shadows came back, and then it just kind of ran off after being confronted by both Twilight and Starlight at the same time, as if somehow together they could have actually overwhelmed him. So it kind of makes him seem a bit underpowered. And then after that, was that the ending of the first one? I kind of feel like it was. No, that was the very beginning of the second one. Right, but after that, I mean, have just discussion on top of discussion between the elements and the pillars about how they need to do things. And from Starlight's perspective, in the second half at least, there was a little bit of a struggle with her trying to convince them to take another route. And I don't know, this is definitely one case I feel like where a third episode would have made this so much better. Like, if it had been a 3-part finale, wow. Imagine what they could have done with a 3-part finale. Really, imagine what they could have done. Just so much they could have... On the other hand, maybe they didn't need a 2-part finale either. Maybe they only needed a 1-part finale, and, like, they could have had all the stuff with Stygian and the journal and whatnot. That could have been, like, the first bit, but then the second bit could have been the actual struggle against the Pony of Shadows. I don't know. I feel like I'm nitpicking this to death, and I'm just like, this is my contrarian attitude coming to full front. Like, whenever somebody tells me something is awful, I'm going to look for a reason to like it. Whenever somebody tells me something is amazing, I'm going to look for a reason to not like it. I did that with Wonder Woman. Everybody's like, Wonder Woman is the best superhero DC movie ever. And I'm like, yeah, but it totally, it has all these problems that I've found that I don't like them. I don't like this. I don't like it at all. Bye. Sorry. I mean, I don't know if I've ever listed it for you guys, but yeah, Wonder Woman has problems. I'm not going to go into it right now. It's not that important. Suffice to say that I have issues with Wonder Woman. I also have issues with Civil War, which everybody thinks is like the greatest Marvel movie ever. No. I don't like Marvel Civil War. That movie has major problems, even bigger than Wonder Woman's in my opinion, actually. So, yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I like it, but I don't like it. It's so confusing. But yeah, I mean, this finale, it's so hype, and it was really cool. It had a lot of cool stuff to it, and a lot of stuff to talk about, but I just feel like it should have had so much more. So I'm gonna call it overhyped. I'm gonna call it. This was a little bit overhyped. What else? Anything else about this that I have to talk about? You know what? I can talk about all the different places that we went to, because, like, as far as finales go, this one had a fair amount of action. It wasn't really a whole lot of struggle. Things just kind of happened. But as far as lore goes, this is probably the biggest amount of lore that we've ever gotten. Ever. Like, way more than even the Season 4 premiere. Like, before this, I think the Season 4 premiere was the biggest amount of lore we had gotten, because it was about the princesses finding the elements, and about them confronting Discord, and about the plunder seeds and all that. So, yeah, I feel like that bit of lore there was bigger than what we got in the Season 1 premiere. So, yeah, just all around, this is probably the most amount of lore that we've ever gotten, though. Because here, we've gotten we've got to go, like I said, we had to go over Stygian, we had to go over the pillars, we had to go over so much stuff that required exposition. And then on top of that, we just spent a lot of time traveling. We went to see Miss Maine's village. We went to see Cattail and the swamp there. And we went to see the Dragonlands. We didn't see Ember, but we did see Garble. Vincent Tong came back for that, I guess. Oh, freaking Garble. Oh, dear. Of course he would have had it. It couldn't have just been with Ember or her dad. It had to be with Garble. Garble had to be the dragon that had it. Of course he did. Oh, jeez. Whatever. We also saw Rockhoof's old village there out on the ocean. I have to wonder if Applejack took the boat from Pony Point of View out there. That would be interesting. Just overall, all the different locations we went to. And then there was the Hollow Shades, which, I mean, I really felt not enough time was spent there. That would have been an amazing place to go to. Like, we've seen all this other stuff with the pillars. Okay, yeah, let's go over a little bit of how we could have improved it. Okay, so we got all the backstory straight away. First and foremost, I don't feel like we needed all of that right away. I feel like it could have just been Sunburst is presenting it in front of the princesses. This is the secret journal of Star Swirl the Bearded. And he's just like, I can read Old Ponish, but this I can't exactly read. And then Starlight goes into detail of like translating it for them and saying like, okay, here's something of what happened. They were confronting a beast called the Pony of Shadows at Ponehenge, and they were using these magical artifacts, and then they all disappeared. And that's that. That's the end of the exposition for the beginning. Then we go to Ponehenge, and then we see that final confrontation there, and we get to realize, oh, wow, that thing is ugly. And then after that, there's Twilight looks around and she's like, we might be able to bring them back, because if we could reverse the spell, we'd need all the artifacts that stayed behind, but if we could find those, then we could potentially bring back the pillars, which would be amazing. And so they're all like, well, we know where to go. We can go and get those. And then we have a quick montage. Doesn't even require much talking. Just like Fluttershy and Cattail shaking hooves as she gets it. Applejack wandering out to the island and being pointed towards Rockhoof's shovel, taking it. Rarity trading something for Miss Maine's flower without any talking necessary. It could have just been a quick musical montage over in a few seconds, maybe a minute at most. And then here's all the artifacts. Twilight does the spell. They're all brought back. And then we get the bad moment of the Pony of Shadows coming back. And then we've got the pillars being rightfully a little bit upset because all their hard work was now for nothing. But then we go back there, and the pillars are like, okay, we got to try this again. Where is we got to figure out where this guy is, and then just tightening up the story. Like it's all pretty much the same, right? Like I've been listening it up, but tightening up the story, taking out unnecessary dialogue, taking out repetition, and just I feel like raising the stakes a little bit would have been nicer as well. Like, if I don't know how they could have done it, but like maybe if they'd made it so that Hollow Shades was actually a bustling village at this point in time, and the Pony of Shadows reappearing there meant that all those ponies who lived there was in danger. It would have also been interesting if Hollow Shades was actually somewhere that we had been before, but we never realized it. Like, what if Starlight's village had been built on the remains of Hollow Shades. Like, that would have been perfect right there. We've been there before. We have an established connection to those characters. We don't want them to be in danger. And then we have the stakes for the finale there. And I don't know. I also, like, the Pony of Shadows was pretty powerful. Definitely. But slightly underpowered, I feel like, compared to some other villains. I mean, like, if banishment was the option for the Pony of Shadows right there with Star Swirl and them, like, it seemed to be their modus operandi mostly, but, like, it kind of, like, I don't know how they would have fared against a fully powered T-Rex. The Pillars probably would have lost that one. I don't know how they would have fared against Sombra, or against, say, well, against Discord. It's just very, like, the Pillars themselves are the ones who have struggled against all these villains. Our main 6 are just too powerful. So I feel like the Pony of Shadows really need to be a little bit more powerful. For example, like, when it disappeared from the remains of Ponehenge, all the clouds disappeared as well. I feel like it would have set the mood a bit better and emphasized its power if the shadows didn't just stay and the clouds didn't just stay, but they spread. That would have been amazing, I feel like. I don't know what I'm saying. Like, it definitely just feels like the conflict part of this story was a bit undercooked. And yeah, I'm gonna blame Josh Haber for this, because he was the big driving force behind it, wasn't he? You know, like, he was the story editor. He could have said, okay, this needs to be tightened up, this needs to be a bit better, but he didn't. So that's unfortunate. Now, yeah, stupid siren. As for season 8, though, like, we have all the pillars are still here, all the legends are still here, and this just really, it's a new dynamic, it's a new potential dynamic, and I really I have to wonder if maybe the next season, the season premiere, is going to be one of the legends stumbling back into Candlelight and being like, there's danger, summon the elements of harmony, you know, that sort of thing, and we go from there. If that's not what the season premiere is, wasted opportunity. But no, it's just it's also weird. It feels weird to me. It's anytime that time travel sort of limbo thing like that happens, where a character winds up put into a period of time that they know nothing about, especially when they're brought forward in time far past when they should have been alive, and they have to deal with their descendants and the consequences of their long ago actions, and they suddenly realize that they are much more famous than they ever used to be. Like, it feels weird, you know? It's like watching DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and Vixen from the 40s is part of the team, and so she's going into the future, and she's seeing her descendants fighting crime and, like, things like that, and it's so weird. One of my least favorite parts of that specific show, but I feel like they make it work a little bit better because they actually have her struggle with, oh, maybe I should go back to the past. Whereas here, that option doesn't really exist. I mean, technically it does. Technically, Starlight could rip open a hole in time and send Star Swirl and them back. But they're not going to do that. So, I don't know. It definitely feels undercooked and a little bit weird. I might change my mind after rewatching it a few times, but on the whole, I'm just a little bit disappointed by this finale. I really am. And of course, it still leaves a few questions open. For example, where did Discord come from? If he only came around after Star Swirl and the other pillars disappeared, where did he come from? Was he unleashed by one of their portal spells accidentally? What is that? We know that Discord can only disappear when he like tries to be normal. So just where did he come from and why? That's a big deal there. And of course, Scorpion still could be brought back. That's a big thing right there. Especially now that his friend Star Swirl is around. You know? Bring back Scorpion for season 8. There we go. There's that. There's more stuff, of course, that we can explore with the non-ponies, like the Griffins. The Griffins are a big deal still. Like, we haven't seen them very much. But they have their own lore and whatnot that goes back years. That reminds me, in this episode, let's just count the side characters for a minute. Cattail, Daring Do, forgetting a name. I'm forgetting a name. Shoot. Garble, of course. I wanted to forget him. And then there's all the ones that we've never seen before. The various dragons and the archaeologist ponies. And, like, it just feels like there was a lot of one-off voice actors brought back for this episode where they were just like, let's try and see how many side characters we can just squeeze in here. They even brought back Petunia Paleo. Like, that was a character that I never really thought we would see again, but there she is, just hanging out, and she's on an archaeological dig too. Wow. I mean, just wow. I do have to wonder about the pony in the background who kind of looked like, he looked even more like Indiana Jones than Daring Do does, but he could have been Alan Grant from Jurassic Park too. They have a similar aesthetic to them. And then there was in Mistmane's village, and pause on that thought. Did Rarity seem a bit overpowered to anyone there? I mean, I know that back in episode 8, we saw her reshaping trees and whatnot with her magic, but really? Just clean up the entire garden? And she couldn't do that in, what was the episode? Made in Manhattan. Why? I don't know. Inconsistent power levels there. Power levels mean nothing. What am I talking about? Oh, wow. Still a little bit, I feel like that I didn't talk about there. I feel like I'm forgetting one. Somnambula, Meadowbrook, Rockhoof, Mistmane, Flash Magnus. No, I guess not. Just overall, it felt, there we go, overcrowded, undercooked, slightly disappointing. That's not really something that I want to say about it, because it had its cool stuff in it, but I feel like maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just because I knew that some of this was coming, and I knew it had the hype around it for me, that I was able to look at this and say, you know, it isn't quite as good as I thought it would be. Like, I mean, one thing that I had thought before watching this was that Stygian and the Pony of Shadows there were actually going to be connected to the Alicorn amulet, because the way that his wings were, it kind of looked like that. It just did. It did. But no, not connected. And I don't feel like that's something that's really dragging me down either, is because, excuse me again, like, one thing about that is that currently on FiM Fiction, there's this big story, this big collaborative story that's coming together about the Alicorn amulet, and so I kind of didn't want anything in the show to contradict that. So while it would have been cool, I was kind of like secretly, I think, hoping that it had nothing to do with that, even though it looked like it might. So I'm not disappointed on that aspect of it, but just everything else that I've talked about, I feel like it definitely didn't work out as well as it could have. So that's just very unfortunate for me. Whatever. It doesn't matter. As you might have heard from my mom earlier, lessons from this episode. The main one is don't jump to conclusions. Yes, ask people questions before you jump to conclusions and all that. Like, I mean, that's a basic thing, but it's definitely a lesson that needs to be learned sometimes. And there's also the whole don't meet your heroes thing. I guess that's sort of a minor detail, but it's there. And otherwise, I mean, it's... I don't know. It just definitely feels muddled, I guess, for me. Very inconsistent. But whatever, Season 7's over now. Season 8 is looking forward to. I'm going to react to the movie once the digital copy comes out, and there's the Equestria Girls series that's supposed to be coming out on YouTube. There's a lot of stuff coming up in the future for MLP. I don't know if the show's winding down because we've covered all the lore now, or if they're just trying to wrap up all this stuff from the past so that way they can move on to newer and more exciting things. That's the other option, I guess. I also kind of hope that when Season 8 comes around, it doesn't include anything, like, spoilering the movie. That's something else that I didn't really think about. Like, how would somebody who's never really been a fan of Equestria Girls, who's never even watched Equestria Girls, how would they feel about the sirens being depicted here? Like, they wouldn't really know what was going on. They'd just see these dragon-like creatures and glowing eyes. They might think it was connected maybe to inspiration manifestation. But they probably wouldn't make the connection of, ooh, sirens! So, I kind of wish my mom had spoken up a bit more during this. But I'm glad she was so readily accepting of the fact that I watched the show, even if she was a bit put off by the fact that it's so different from what it used to be. I should show her the T-Rex episodes at some point. Because, I mean, T-Rex was G1 villain, so seeing how they changed him... I don't know. I've been talking for a while, though. Hour and a half. Pretty good, I think. Maybe not as long as it could have been, but pretty good. Anything else on my brain about this? Anything else at all? Am I looking forward to seeing how other people think about this? Yeah. Like, Blank Check is usually the reactor that I watch for the lore stuff. Whereas when it comes to character interactions and whatnot, Apple Geek is the best one to listen to for those. And then, like, Rarity Dash falls somewhere in the middle. And just, yeah, there's a lot to look forward to, I think, in seeing other people's reactions to this and seeing how they are. Really, though, I feel like I'm one of the few reactors who actually goes over the story aspect and the conflict and, like, how it flows. Like I said, Apple Geek Key focuses in more on the character actions, and I feel like those were very strong here. They really were. There was a lot to be had between Starlight and Twilight, and all the main six were in character, definitely, and it was just very nice to see them interact without being overly obvious about, like their traits and whatnot. It was nice. Very nice to see that. And Spike, even though he was very much in the background, he had a very good presence with his snarkiness these episodes. So I enjoyed that. And then, of course, all the pillars they were a bit more on the nose, I feel like. Like, they were at the place that season 2, I guess, main 6 were. So I hope to see them a little bit more in the future, but we'll see. But then there's the lore stuff, and there was a lot of lore stuff in this, and I feel like the other reactors who do go into the lore a lot more are going to have a field day with connecting all the stuff together. And that was very fun. But like I said, of the ones that I watch, I feel like I am one of the few who actually goes over, like, this is how the story flows, this is the conflict, and this is the resolution, and this is how things build up and whatnot. It might be because of all of the reactors that I do watch, I don't think any of them are really fanfiction writers. Whereas I write fanfiction, so I'm always looking out for things like that, the progression of the story. So that's pretty interesting, I think, right there. Yeah. So, if you've made it this far, this was fun for me. Maybe not for you, but it was definitely fun for me. And I'm glad I got to do this. I'm glad I got it a little bit I'm glad I got it done. I'm glad things are a bit more out in the open now for me. This was interesting. So I will see all of you whenever the next thing for MLP comes out that I can react to. I'll see you then. Until next time, this is Flash Notion, signing off.